Operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom have had a high cost. The lives of more than 2,300 U.S. military men and women. But in 2005, the world saw the first concrete evidence of a positive effect those operations have had as the people of both Iraq and Afghanistan cast votes in the first public elections held in many years. An ink-stained finger, a school book, and a vision of things to come. The signs of progress in Iraq are significant. 2005 began and ended with elections in that country. On January 30th, 8.5 million Iraqis came out to vote, 58% of the population. 250,000 Iraqi citizens living overseas also voted in 14 countries around the world. The result, a National Assembly elected by the people. While the role of the military was to remain in the background, U.S. service members were still strongly affected.
It was the most unbelievable day of my life. Don't tell my wife. It was amazing to be here. Didn't sleep much the days leading up. I mean, a lot of anxiety. Is this going to work? There were a lot of concerns, but it did work. There were these long lines of people waiting to vote, and it was amazing to watch it. And it felt so good to see that happen. And I was so proud of our soldiers. I was so proud of the Iraqi soldiers. I was so proud of the Iraqi people.
January's election seated a 275-person National Assembly tasked with writing Iraq's constitution.
We got together, we the Iraqis, got together behind the ballot boxes. And this is our ultimate referee, the ballot boxes, not the gun.
One of the results of January 30th is that Iraqis now feel correctly that they don't owe their freedom entirely to American courage and sacrifice, that they as a country have now demonstrated their own courage.
That courage was again demonstrated in December when national parliamentary elections took place under the watch of Iraqi security forces and coalition troops. About 225,000 Iraqi security forces guarded the city of Baghdad on Election Day.
And that is just an historic accomplishment. It's greatly to the credit of the Iraqi people for the courage they've shown, and it's certainly to the credit of the men and women in uniform.
Though the Iraqi security forces took the lead in Election Day security, American troops felt an investment in the day as well.
They can see the Iraqi people enjoying the same freedoms and same liberties that we enjoy. It gives them a sense of mission accomplishment, understanding that their mission is not simply to provide security, but to bring a better life to the people of Iraq. And for that, that's why our soldiers really understand what's happening, and that's why their morale is so good.
With December's elections, a permanent 4-year government was elected, another step taken on the road to stabilization and democracy. But major obstacles remain. For example, reconstruction. While many projects are already completed, thousands more are still underway. The Iraq Project and Contracting Office, or PCO, handles about 13 of the $18 billion allotted by Congress for reconstruction.
In terms of what has been accomplished, it's just a tremendous story that we have been able to accomplish.
The reconstruction effort has included everything from schools and hospitals to power plants and ports. By the end of December, nearly 3,000 construction projects had been started and more than 2,100 completed. The number of Iraqi workers employed through these projects, nearly 51,000.
I think the American public doesn't realize that we actually have this much work going on, that we've gotten this far. I think it's going to take the Iraqi people getting engaged and taking responsibility for the reconstruction effort, not just reconstruction, but the whole rebuilding a nation from the government to the economy.
Reconstruction in Iraq continues. In northern Iraq, the Army Corps of Engineers Gulf Region Division is involved in improving the Zako Military Academy, an institute for training the future leaders of Iraq. Defense Department officials often look to the rebuilding of schools and training facilities as a measurement of success in the overall reconstruction effort.
And I focus on schools because the future of those countries are the children. If we help the children out, that's the next generation of friends or enemies we have.
As 2005 began in Afghanistan, military leaders expressed optimism about the year ahead, but they knew the fight wasn't over.
The insurgency certainly got a lot less strength than it had last year. On the other hand, we can't underestimate the enemy. We've got to give the enemy credit for having capability to continue to cause trouble.
We do see indications that they're reorganizing here this year, that they're getting some additional financing. They're training some of their terrorists to pick up operations here in Afghanistan. The last few weeks now, we're beginning to see more and more activity, and I think we'll have a fight on our hands this spring, but we'll be able to deal with it in concert with the Afghan Army.
Members of Combined Joint Task Force 76, coalition partners, and Afghan forces were able to deter much of the violence. Vice President Dick Cheney says so far, 27,000 Afghan troops are now trained, equipped, and in the field conducting operations. The Afghan National Police now have 55,000 members. And after the September elections, the Afghan parliament was seated just a few weeks ago. Much of the success in Afghanistan is because of the constant presence of provincial reconstruction teams, commonly called PRTs.
These are really just operating locations, and we're involved in helping to train their forces, and we're involved in creating a deterrent against their neighbors from injecting themselves into Afghanistan. And we're still conducting counterterrorism activity out of Afghanistan along that Pakistan border where the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda tended to operate.
U.S. troops lead the majority of the PRTs, located in the southern and eastern parts of Afghanistan. The Bamiyan PRT, led by New Zealand coalition troops, is just one example of where troops are doing their best to help people in desperate need.
Because these people have been so oppressed for 26 years, suffering under the communist government, then the Soviets, and then the Taliban, people are desperate. And the need is so great. When you can see people getting on with their lives and not having to worry about the security situation over here, that's the biggest reward. We're helping our friends in their time of need. That was the thing that made me exceptionally proud for us to do our bit to help out.
Help from U.S. and coalition troops comes in many ways and can be most appreciated during the bone-chilling days of winter. These troops are in a remote village handing out some of the supplies the Afghanis will need to make it through the season.
Humanitarian aid, in my opinion, is best for the children if we're able to provide them with the jackets, the blankets, and the food, because the winters are pretty harsh here, and as you can see by the living environments around here, all they have are mud huts.
Another form of assistance to the Afghani citizens is 24/7 security patrols around the country. Here in the control center at Bagram Air Base, U.S. service members monitor the area around the perimeter with robotic cameras while staying in constant communications with patrolling units in a local village. On this patrol, it's the middle of the night. The going is rough, and the streets are very narrow. This Humvee gets stuck and needs to turn around. The villagers start coming out of their houses to look. This could be a very dangerous situation, but this member of the Virginia-based 29th Infantry Division says that's usually not the case.
The villagers see us all the time, and they get used to seeing us, and also so that, our presence is known. It's also preventative measures.
I want to look at the baby, okay?
They've all been grateful for our presence here. They say that, our presence here is going to make Afghanistan a better place.